Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to another edition of the Around the 412 Fantasy Football Podcast, where we are gearing up for a deep fantasy football playoff run. Joining with me as always, the one, the only, the playoff consistency master. See him in the championship, busting brackets, cashing checks, doing all of these good things. The one, the only, Drew Hannis. Drew, how we doing, buddy?
Last week of the regular season, bro. A lot
It
can change.
flies by
Crazy.
every time. It flies
Crazy.
by every time.
How many playoff matchups are you going to be in?
So let's see here. I'm trying to run through. Man. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 11 out of 14, I think. And the rest are just complete out of control. Like, there's just nothing. It's just pure suck. Like, on my part. Like, there was no hope whatsoever. And, that's fine. But I feel good.
How many dynasty leagues are we in? Am I in now? 5, and then 2 redraft plus fishbowl. I'll be at 5 out of 7. Fishbowl, I didn't make it, and then I have 1 redraft league that's a free one that I didn't make the playoffs in either. But
yeah,
it's going to be dynasty. I'm pushing for a first round bye. I'm hoping that I can pull out a couple.
No, man, you need to lose this week so that I can have that bye. That'd be super sick.
I want that bye because Justin Herbert needs a little time to bounce back before.
He needs something. It's really crazy, kind of. That offense started the year so hot, and they've really fallen back into their old ways. I'm really kicking myself. I really thought that Lamar and Hampton was going to play. I know that they ruled him out on Saturday. I forgot to put Vidal back into a lineup and lost the matchup because of it. So now I'm like flirting with the potential, like missing the playoffs because of that. And I'm just like, come on.
Which league was that?
Hernley's Dynasty League. Which, I mean, I was a seller anyway. But, it is what it is. But we'll win this week and it won't matter.
Hernley and I duked it out on waivers this week for Traylon Burks, where we both bid a whopping $0 fab. And
man, who had the priority?
So I think that on Sleeper, if you do the same fab amount, that they just give it to the first person that entered it, and he got it.
No. They have like a tiebreaker ranking like normal waivers.
So how does that? I mean, he was awarded to him, and I'm in second place overall. So if it's anything with ranking.
No. It's like the move to last after claim. Like it goes based off the reverse draft order from the draft, and then you go to the bottom whenever you get a claim.
I must have had a claim in there at something, but he was awarded them.
Oh.
It's okay though.
I got him in that league, and he was like, "I regret dropping him every day," and I was like, "It's not that."
I don't think that he's gonna be anything, but I was just like, "Why the hell not?" That's why I put $0 on it.
Yeah. I put 5 down because I had like an absurd amount. Like I think in one of our leagues, I was putting like $50 down on like random people because I was like,
"You just had so much fab.
So much fab left. Why not?
Yeah.
Just make sure." But we'll see. All right, Drew. Well, you know the drill. Tap in, get the lab coat on. What's going on the injury front as we move into this last week of the regular season?
Yeah, I got 4 guys here with new injuries, and I want to touch on 4 other guys that might be coming back. But I already alluded to Justin Herbert. He suffered a left hand fracture day to day. I'm avoiding playing him this week, mainly because they play on Monday night, and I don't want to be screwed into trying to add Trey Lance late because I don't expect anything from Trey Lance. If you don't have any other option, I do kind of think that he's going to play because like the dude's super tough. Like he was like unfazed by the whole thing in game. Like I don't think it's that big of a deal for him.
I just don't understand that. Like, how do you have a whole broken hand and you're just kind of like,
yeah. The dude's real tough. I just don't want to go into Monday night and get surprised into being active and then be screwed. So I'm just avoiding all together this week. Plus the Eagles, they've been struggling, but they're kind of like back and forth. Like they'll have some pretty dominant defensive games, and then sometimes they'll get beat up a little bit. But after the way they got manhandled by the Bears last week, I fully expect them to play better this week, and I don't want to have anything a part of Justin Herbert this week.
I haven't gone back on my rankings and done like my Joe adjustments. I'm completely on like the BCS right now.
Yeah.
My projections spit him out at QB 20 for the week, even if he does play, which is like bottom of the barrel of people that you feel good about. It's like slightly above like the Cam Ward, Geno Smith, CJ Stroud kind of guys.
Yeah, I have Tyrod Taylor in for Justin Herbert in 2 leagues, and I'm probably going to stick with that. I'm not even worried about it. He has a good matchup against Miami.
Yeah.
Tyron Tracy suffered a hip contusion. They're on bye, so I feel like ultimately he'll be okay 2 weeks from now if you're still rocking him in some
I
league.
believe that he said that it was minor.
Yeah, it's really just the fact that they were getting their teeth kicked in. There was no point in bringing him back out, I feel like. So I think you'll be good with him in 2 weeks. I added Devin Singletary in a few leagues prior to him saying that. I'm still going to keep him because I still feel like he might have some standalone value based on matchup just because they've been utilizing both guys. Just Tracy's really been heavily utilized, but you never know.
Yeah. Sorry, I hate to interrupt, but around the 412 PR, Zach, he just wanted to let you know that Joe Frick and Drew Hannes are set to speak at 8:30 p.m.
I got the Snapchat. I got the Snapchat alert letting me know that we're speaking at 8:30.
You got me excited. I was like, Zach's back on Snap, but that makes sense now.
2 more wide receivers here. We'll start with Maserati Marv, our boy. He suffered a heel injury. I'm kind of like in my head labeling him as like a game time decision. He didn't really look comfortable playing after that injury, but he did tough it out. I think that we'll learn more later in the week. I kind of am leaning towards him missing this week because they don't have a whole lot to play for, obviously.
Michael Wilson season's back.
Yeah, they have a bad matchup, though, a real bad matchup. So it's going to be heavy. We talked about this heavy garbage time likely for them against the Rams after, they lost to the Panthers last week. They got to be pretty pissed off about that loss. They're going to come out pretty fiery.
I always feel like the Cardinals play the Rams tough, though.
It is a divisional matchup, and that's just how they always are. But, like, I don't know. I think the Rams are just much better than the Cardinals. It's not one of those things where it's like,
yeah,
they're pretty close. Like, they're just leaps and bounds better. I still think they're the best in the NFL.
Yeah, the last time they played 13-9, then September 2024, the Cardinals won 41-10.
Yeah,
Rams smoked them 2023. So really, it was just last year that it seemed like the Cardinals were able to hang.
Yeah,
but then
they're just not. They're not really a good team, and I expect garbage time. But we'll see. I'll have Michael Wilson in lineups because, especially at Marv.
I think though, if Marv is playing, you can't play Wilson. We saw that they immediately after all of that coach speak, they talked about we got to get him. Completely went back to the second wide receiver, which would be fine in a normal offense. But when Trey McBride is your wide receiver 1,
right,
you're just not getting the opportunities that you need to get done.
For sure. Yeah, I agree. I might have misspoke there. I would only play him if Marv, misses. Consider it. But last guy here is Amon-Ra St. Brown suffered the low ankle sprain on Thanksgiving. I don't think he's going to play. And obviously we'll get into that more later. There's some topics here that I'll come back to.
Especially on the short week.
That's really what it's about. He's a tough guy. I think he might have pushed to play if it was a Sunday game, but I don't think he's going to play this week. And they have to win out. So, if he could play, I feel like he would have. But the fact that they play Thursday really hurts them because, they got to win out. This is one of the biggest games of the year. I'm pretty psyched for it.
Yeah, it's going to be a sick game. Now, it's going to be interesting what that offense looks like without Amon-Ra. It's funny, every year we go into it and it's like, well, he's not possible. It's impossible for Amon-Ra to be wide receiver 1, so I'm not going to waste my time. I'm going to go after somebody that can be the wide receiver 1, and then every year he's a top 5 wide receiver, and it's like, why did I not just trust this?
Yeah. He is questionable. They're marking him as a game time decision. I really would if he played. I'd be shocked.
Around the 412 PR, Chad saying that he's definitely pushing the play. That's why they gave him the questionable tag. So
it's also not a short week though, because they they played on Thanksgiving, so they
Yeah, true. It was the full, but there's just something about those Thursday games. I feel like they're just a little bit more cautious with it.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be a short term unavailability for him, but I don't think he's going to play this week. So, we'll touch on that more later on. But a couple guys I also wanted to bring up. T. Higgins, I got to check on this too because as of this morning, I didn't follow up tonight, but T. Higgins was still in the protocol from what I read this morning. So he's something to monitor for later in the week. Maybe he potentially
Yeah, he hasn't been cleared. He was a limited participant in practice today.
Yeah.
So that's like a 20 minutes ago report.
Yeah, so he's still in the protocol. I mean, he could get cleared Friday and be good to go, but it's something to monitor because it seems like they're being a little more cautious with the protocol around the league. Like I think the guys,
unless you play for the Giants, which they go into the tent and tell you, no, you're fine.
Yeah. But like CJ Stroud missed 3 games.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like they're being a little more cautious within the protocol. It's harder to clear it as of late, but they're not really, open about what the protocol looks like. They have their guidelines that they need to meet, but it seems like they either got more strict or teams are being a little more cautious. But either way, T. Higgins, something to monitor. Amari Hampton, he had that high ankle. He's been out for a while. I expect him. It sounds like he's going to return this week on Monday. But again, they have the Monday night game. So if you don't have it all, it's a little risky. I personally, if I had Hampton, I would put him in my lineup because I do think that he's going to play. But I
would need to see a full participation by Friday.
Yeah, I think that you're going to get it though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I thought he was playing last week. He was pushing to play last week, so I think.
Yeah,
especially with Herbert and a broken hand.
Yeah. Actually, I'll bring up one more guy, but the other guy I'll bring up later on because it'll come back around with one of our Tinders. But Mike Evans, who had the broken collarbone, I think he's gonna be back soon as well. If you want to get ahead of that, people might have dropped him because it seemed like he was going to miss the entire regular season. It sounds like he's going to be back. I don't think he's going to be back this week, but I do think that he's going to play next week based on how things are going. He's already had his 21-day window activated. I think that he's going to play next week. So if you can get him off waivers, I did see him on waivers in one of my leagues. I snatched him up. Definitely something you can get ahead of.
And too, he has to hit that 1,000 yards. So, I mean, if he's going to do it, you're going to need like 200 a week.
Yeah. Yeah, he might be a league winner.
It would be hilarious if the Buccaneers were like, you know what, we're out of it. Baker's hurt. Teddy, your sole job is to just pass it to Mike Evans. Every play.
They're not out of it, though.
Yeah, I know, but as soon as that happens...
I still think they're going to win this. I still think they're going to win the NFC South.
Yeah, probably. It's such a... I would say it's such a sad division, but then I remember that the AFC North is also a very sad division.
Yeah, Chad thinks he's going to play this week. I don't think that he's going to play this week.
Please respect Chad. It's now around the 412 PR Chad.
Yeah, okay. It's really just like he hasn't played for a while. He needs some time to like get back into football shape and be medically cleared. And they were very cautious with Chris Godwin. Obviously, he had a really rough injury from last year, but he also did come back and play for a little while. I don't know. I don't think they're going to rush him this week. We'll see though. If he has full practice like the next 2 days, then maybe. I just don't think they're going to push him like that. But
yeah, no, we'll see what happens. All right, so that was your last injury?
Yeah, I'll touch on the last one when we get into Tinder.
Okay, cool. So we're going to jump into our fantasy headlines. Before we do that, if you do have questions like our friend Alex here, drop them in the chat. We'll get those answered for you as soon as we can. But, Drew, Alex wants to know, Mahomes or Goff and Worthy or Kincaid at flex full PPR?
So I think the first one's actually pretty easy. I'm in the exact same situation. I'm going Jared Goff. That matchup on both ends, the Mahomes got the Texans this week.
Yep.
I mean, the Chiefs have been a lot better at home, and I could see a world where he still performs. But Goff is just so much safer when they have Detroit
for sure.
Dallas. I feel really good about that game. Just it's 54 line.
Yeah, their implied points, they're a 3-point favorite. They're expected to put up 28.3. Dallas has been absolutely godsend since they picked up Quentin Williams. They have been the worst matchup for running backs in the league since they picked him up.
It's going to be a lot of passing because they need to keep up with what Dak and CD and George have been doing. So
Absolutely.
I think
Goff at home in the Dome, give me all of that.
Yep.
And he played through a really tough matchup last week and was a top 8 QB. So for me, having the plus matchup, very good. I agree with you. So just looking at it, the Texans are only giving up 12.4 points per game to QBs in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. And Worthy kind of falls into that same realm, obviously, with Mahomes. This one's actually tough for me, though, too. Kincaid has the best matchup on paper for tight ends this week, but he also hasn't played in 3 weeks. So it's kind of like –
if Kincaid plays, there's no way that I'm starting Worthy over him.
Agreed. It's just that I don't feel great about it, but I feel like the numbers suggest you just have to do that and hope for the best.
I don't feel great about either one, to be honest with you, especially just with the way that Buffalo kind of throws the ball around. There's some people that I would be interested in. I think Vele for New Orleans, especially now that Chris Olave has popped up on the injury report. He's been really nice since Shaheed has left. I would say Adonai Mitchell is in line for another big game this week. If people haven't picked him up, I could see him having a good repeat performance. So I do think there's other options. To me, as much potential as Worthy flashed at the end of last season, I have major Gabe Davis vibes from him. Not in terms of like play or anything like that, but it's like, hey, you had this really big breakout playoff performance and it didn't translate into a good fantasy season for you. So to me, I cut Worthy to pick up backup QBs because I have Drake May in a lot of leagues this week.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, Rashee Rice has been such a huge part of that offense. And
Travis Kelce has turned back the clock. I mean, if you look at his performance as of late, I mean, he's averaging 8.3 targets. He is just getting it done. There's not really a big role. And to say the quiet part out loud, the deep ball has not been there for Mahomes at all.
Right.
Him and Worthy have not been on the same page, and I don't expect them to get on the same page against the Texans.
Right, for sure. Yeah, the Texans is the defense that you want to avoid at all costs week to week. So
they're so good, dude.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Chad had a comment. The only thing
this is back to Evans.
The only thing I have to say about that is, like, if he's 100% ready and all this stuff, why didn't they open his window last week? You know what I mean? Like,
it's very weird.
It doesn't make sense to me. Like, why he could be like ready to go right like this and they didn't open up his window earlier. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So, I mean, we'll see if he plays great. I think he needs one more week, but who knows? I'm not in the building.
All right, so jumping into those headlines, pretty quiet week on the football front. I think something that we can do for the Week 15 show is just talk about like different matchups that you have and who are people that you want to target in the playoff scenario. I like to wait as far in advance as possible. I'll probably drop an article or something this weekend just to kind of go through the data, look at things from like a 3-week, 5-week lens. But one of the bigger news stories from today, the Ravens, surprisingly, I would say, signed Mark Andrews to a 3-year contract extension, 3-year, $39.3 million, $26 million fully guaranteed, keeps Baltimore and Andrews together through the 2028 season. Drew, there was a lot of folks out there that thought that this would kind of be the end of the road for Andrews in Baltimore, kind of clearing the way for Isaiah Likely. What do you think this does for Isaiah Likely? I believe his contract is coming up soon. He's a free agent. Do you think that he retains and comes back? Do you think this is a sign that he's out the door? I'm a bit surprised by this move. Does it do anything for you from a dynasty perspective?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually hard to say. I feel like they're still going to sign Likely. I feel like that's the way they operate. They would like to have both of those guys. I'm shocked by it, just like you are. Like, it just happened, so I didn't really have too much time to reflect on it. But from a dynasty perspective, it doesn't change much for me other than knowing that he's going to be on a roster where he could have some bump weeks, but he hasn't had consistent production over the past couple seasons. So it's like, it doesn't really change much for me.
Yeah. Personally. It's interesting. I had traded for whenever it was McBride broke his leg a couple years ago, right? And I was on a playoff run. I traded Mark Andrews for him straight up, and I regret it every single day.
You traded?
I traded Trey McBride after he broke his leg for
Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews for a playoff push. And
You were a big Mark Andrews guy
I was, and it's burned me. But I'm really shocked by it. I think it's a pretty lofty price tag for a tight end for one, and
Yeah.
for two, like he hasn't done a ton. Like he's low end tight end one, but
I don't even think he's a low end tight end one at this point. I think he's like a mid tight end two. Because he's touchdown dependent. Like
I mean, that's just the tight end position though in general.
Right. But I still feel like he's Zay Flowers. I feel like Rashad Bateman has been more of an option when he's healthy. Obviously, he's missed a lot of time this year and he hasn't been productive. They're very run heavy with Derrick Henry. I just feel like there wasn't much there for him the last few years. He just like last year, he just had insane touchdown production.
Right.
He's not replicating that now, and he's not really useful. Like I started him I had him in as only fantasy for last week, which we would touch on later. And he, likely was the guy that ended up in the top 10. Mark Andrews was like, in that matchup, I expected way more.
Well, I think the thing too is it's like pre-Derrick Henry, he was the red zone guy.
Yeah.
Now you have Derrick Henry and you have DeAndre Hopkins and Lamar struggling. So it's a mix of a lot of bad. I think that he still has some run in his game, but it's hard to be as excited as you were about him 2-3 years ago when it was like, hey, like if I don't get Kelsey, if I don't get Waller, like I'm gonna go get Andrews at the 4 or 5 turn and I'm gonna feel good about it. Like
this is all from a pure football move, not a fantasy football move.
Oh, for sure. I just feel like I need to look at the tight end contracts. Like where does that sit as far as like top end players? So we said what, around 13 a year, 14 a year. So he was getting 14 a year. That's top 5, top 6 money. Kittle's at 19. You have McBride at 19. Kelsey's at 17. Hawkinson at 16. Talk about woof. And then you got Andrews and Njoku at 13. Cole Kmet, Ferguson, Pat Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith around the 12 mark. But
TJ Hawkinson's he took a stray there from you, but his target share actually increased the last couple weeks. It's just that his on target share is still disgustingly low.
Yeah, what is a target? All right, so one more quick one just from the news front. We had Adam Thielen sign with Steelers.
Oh yeah.
The only time in league history that the oldest cornerback in the league gets cut, you sign a new player and the team somehow still gets older.
Yeah, and then they posted a video today of him working out, and I actually fell for it for a second there. I was like, he looks good. And then I had to take a step back and be like, wait, hold up.
Yeah, and just to throw the Homer goggles on real quick, there's not a world where we're picking him up and playing him in fantasy football, right?
You texted me earlier that you picked him up at Fishbowl, so
I said that I might need to pick him up in Fishbowl if I didn't get Vele because I have CMC, Stephon Diggs, Booty, like all of these people, Jalen Coker, Chuba Hubbard, like my whole team is on bye week this week except for my Colts players. So I was like, I might need to do something drastic, and that was the move. Fortunately, it didn't come to that because no one in my league that's left played any defense on me because I used the last $3 of fab that I had to pick up Vele, and I was the only one who put in a claim.
And that still might be a 1 week flash in the pan. We're hoping not.
That's all that I need. I just need to survive so that I can get CMC back, and then we'll be steady chilling.
I hope that they get him on the field earlier though, because I feel like a lot, like we've talked about this for several weeks. Like DK is just, he's being taken away by defenses, and it doesn't seem like Calvin Austin, Jonnu Smith, like understand what Rodgers wants from them. And that's
I think that he should slide in immediately play, but from a fantasy perspective, no. And even if he has a good game, look at last year. Was it last year or 2 years ago? Mike Williams moonball with Russ. It was last year.
It was last year.
And then it's like, oh man, here we go. They're just gonna bomb it to Mike Williams every time, and it was like literally the only time they touched the ball the whole season.
Adam Thielen had good stretches last year, though.
He did, yeah, but that was with Andy Dalton. They opened up that offense in the back half of the year. He had that hamstring injury or something lower body, and then he came back, looked healthy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. the thing with Thielen though is like I'm sure that from fantasy perspective it's nothing because they're not going to throw the ball enough to him.
No,
but it's just that like I want to see someone that actually understands how to play the wide receiver position and go where Rodgers wants him to go, and maybe like the team might look a little better. But like low key, I think it's kind of better if we just lose out and try to go get our dude in the draft. Like we need a quarterback for the future so freaking bad.
it would be low key hilarious though if Adam Thielen just goes sicko mode and turns back the clock, because there's a lot of people that are clowning this move.
Yeah, so they're clowning it because of that tweet, which that tweet was just so spot on.
Absolutely incredible. If you haven't seen it, somebody said that Mike Tomlin is going to talk about you can't eat soup with a fork, and then he's going to go sign a 2018 Pro Bowl receiver. And then literally the next day you get the report that the Steelers have claimed Adam Thielen off of waivers, and it was like, man, this guy just absolutely nailed it. Which is funny because he's a hockey writer, so it was just like a complete own.
Sidebar though, you can eat soup with a fork. You just have to drink the broth and to scoop the contents with a fork. But
real quick before we move off of these headlines, do you consider cereal to be a soup?
No.
Blasphemous.
Cereal.
What do you mean?
Cereal is cereal. Soup is soup. Do you call cereal soup?
It's maybe my favorite soup.
So do you call it soup? You call cereal if it's dry, but then when you add the milk, it becomes soup. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yes.
I've never thought
of
it.
It's a cold soup.
Who eats cold soup?
Cold soup is a thing.
Cereal.
Cold soup is a thing. All right, let's get back to the task at hand. We are fantasy football people, not soup people. Chad, excuse me. AT412FF show PR Chad said, Drew, I'll pay for the Uber to go smack Joe right now for this.
Yeah, honestly, I love you, so I didn't want to trash it. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
Haters gonna hate, man. Listen, you just don't understand.
Make that a poll. I want to see if you get anyone that votes on your side.
All right. So then the comment on Vele, they paid for him, and so they're going to play him. I like that. Let's go back to that tight end conversation. Who do you like out of Travis Kelce or Tyler Warren?
I mean, obviously, we talked about the Texans we want to avoid. I think that the Jags are a plus matchup for tight ends, are they not?
They are like a mid matchup. They both have given up around the same amount of points, actually.
Season long, the Jags have been good. So if we're looking at, like, it's a good matchup season long. So we can look at the last three, and we're looking at.
I'm taking Travis Kelce pretty easily here, just because he's getting more targets. Daniel Jones does not look right with that broken leg. Here's the other thing. There is a stat that gets put together by the folks over at Fantasy Points Data, and it gives a coverage grade for all the players on a team to see how they're going to match up against the defense that they're going against. Looking at the different formations that Houston utilizes, they're projecting that the coverage grade for Travis Kelce is going to be a 23% better than baseline relative to any coverage that he's going to play. He's getting more targets. He has the higher expected fantasy points per game. I don't think that the Colts are going to want to throw the ball a ton. So give me the guy who's getting the more targets. Give me the safety valve for Mahomes in a game where you know he's going to be pressured. So I'm starting Kelce pretty comfortably here.
Yeah, I hate to do this to Chandler, but I'm on Tyler Warren, and the Chiefs are going to be without both of their starting tackles this week, and I just feel like it's going to be dump off city to Rashee Rice. Kelce might get some, but I don't know. I feel like Tyler Warren has a chance to boom more than Travis Kelce does, personally.
Okay.
I mean, I don't hate starting either of them. I just think that I lean Tyler Warren. But it is tough, though, too. Like, they won't have their tackles and things are going to be rough. But, like, the Chiefs are another team that are in must-win mode, so they could just come out and be, like, a completely different Chiefs team at home, knowing that they need.
I mean, what was it that he said at the beginning of the week?
Yeah,
he wants to tickle their tonsils.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Yeah, they have to win though. Like they cannot lose again, and they cannot lose this matchup because the Texans are a team that they're fighting
Their
for.
playoff hunt place. Yeah, because I don't see a world. Do you think they can even catch the Broncos right now? I don't think so.
No
Like they're
chance.
going to be a wild card team at
Yeah,
best.
especially because the Broncos have the Raiders this week. Another easy win for them. They should.
I feel like the Broncos might lose this game.
You need to put your money where your mouth is if you say that.
I'm definitely betting on the money. I'm definitely like the spread for the Raiders. I definitely see it going well.
What's the spread?
Let me see. So right now the opening line was
You sound like your Raiders outright though.
7.5. I think that
That
will
is
be
large for a
that's
division
super
round.
large.
But I'm not going to bet their money line. I still think Denver wins.
I think the Raiders and the Saints both cover this week.
Who are the Saints have again?
Saints against Tampa, which is funny because, like, according to the charts, that's the best matchup of the week for quarterbacks for Shuck. Worst matchup of the week for Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell came over the Saints defense as of late. They're on the charts. They look dominant.
Yeah. Got Ricky Dunks in the chat holding it down. Steelers PR Ricky Dunks. Hope all is good, man. He's gearing up. I know he's got a couple bye weeks already locked up because dude knows ball. So all the power to you.
The PR department in Pittsburgh is getting pretty large.
Hey, everybody needs a little good PR. You know what I'm saying? My PR guy actually yelled at me on the side and said you shouldn't have called cereal a soup. It's going to hurt the viewership.
Oh, someone that you know is watching and they're trashing it?
Yeah, my mom. She was really upset about it. See that? Ricky Dunks said all 14 leagues he's in, 14 for 14. Get them dubs. Make it happen. Happy for you, kid. All right, Drew, let's transition to Fantasy Football Tinder. This is our part of the show where we dive into different trending topics across the league in a little bit of a fun format. So what does this look like? What is Fantasy Football Tinder? Let us give you an example with our buddy, Zach Smith. Zachary Smith recently opened up the Advent Coffee calendar for another installment. It's been tough sledding for him so far with some flavors that he doesn't particularly enjoy. But for example's sake, Drew, the people want to know, can the Advent Coffee calendar get us through another mediocre Pittsburgh Steelers season? The answer is yes, absolutely. We swipe right. You'll see the green hearts pop up on the screen. You're like, thank the Lord. Smitty is going to be drinking his coffee. We're getting to see parts of his house because he never invites either of us over, even when he's having Friendsgiving. We don't ever see those invites. Must get lost in the mail. I don't know. We're not going to say nothing. But I drive past the exit for his house all the time. I give a little wave.
I went to his barbecue last summer, and then it was like I never talked to him again.
Yeah, man. It's tough when you get big time. He's getting his swell on. It's too much love in the chat, but you could swipe left on it. You can say, you know what? These videos are 4 minutes long. I just want to know what the flavor is. Like, hit me with the 60 seconds or less. This is a TikTok society. I can't do 4 minutes of coffee every single day. I don't drink coffee. So like, what am I even doing here? But you'll see the red X's pop up on the screen. We do love the Advent Coffee calendar on the Frick House. So big props to our boy here. So let's dive into this from a fantasy football perspective, Drew. Big matchup for the Steelers this week. They are going up against Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has been struggling a little bit as of late. He hasn't looked like himself. Have we reached the point of Lamar Mageddon? Are you having any concerns about him, or do you think that he's going to be able to start bouncing back?
Yeah, I have him in a few leagues here too, so it's not looking good. The Life League, I'm eyeing him up. Yeah, I need him to turn around, but I have him as a swipe left. I was looking at some of these stats. Like, he's been horrible the last 4 weeks. Ever since he came back from injury, I still think that he's hurt.
I do too.
He has as many turnovers as he does touchdowns since coming back from injury. Like, it's crazy to me. The Ravens are 32nd in the league in passing attempts with only 26.4 per game, and that's on the season. Lamar is actually throwing less than that. He's only throwing 25.2 times a game. The big stat for me, I'm just going to keep this short with Lamar because everybody can just see what he's doing. He's under 10 points in 3 straight. Before he went down for injury, he was averaging 7.7 yards per carry, 3.3 since coming back from injury. And that's just not going to cut it. Like, last year, he didn't run as much, but he had he threw a ton of
Yeah,
touchdowns.
he
Like,
threw 40 plus touchdowns with no interceptions, so it was fine. It made up for it because he was hyper efficient. I believe it was his highest touchdown pass percentage rate that he had in his career.
exactly. And if he's not going to be throwing for touchdowns, which he's obviously not, his rushing ability needs to step up, and it's half of what it was. And his schedule rest of way, I don't even know if it matters, to be honest, but he has the Steelers twice, which the Steelers tend to play them tough. I know last year Derrick Henry completely gashed us, which hopefully the Steelers, play better in that regard. But I'm not really afraid of Lamar in these games because historically they play low scoring, tight games.
Yeah.
We'll see if that changes this year, obviously, but like I feel like the Steelers are going to be able to hang around because of how bad things are. I feel like they're going to come out and just not completely dismantle. Like they're not going to explode the way they have the last couple of weeks. And then he played the Bengals last week, which was the best matchup on paper that you can have.
Right.
Period.
And that's the reason why I'm swiping left
Yeah.
as well. It's that the Cleveland Browns game at Cleveland, I can see a world where that defense kind of lights it up and you have that game. We see it time and time again. I don't know what it is about the Browns and the dog pound. They get it done. It's a tougher game that whatever their record is, they show out for those fans in Cleveland. And I'm like, all right, fine. So then the next game happens and you're like, okay, he's got the Jets. The Jets just traded off their whole team. He's
Another great
bounce back.
Another great
Didn't happen. So you're like, all right, maybe they were going to focus on running the ball. If you didn't watch the game, you might not necessarily see that, hey, like it just was an empty box score game. They won comfortably. Maybe it didn't click the way that you needed it to. Cincinnati, for sure, it's going to be a shootout. Burrow's back. He's going to step up. He just does not look right whatsoever. I don't think that he's healthy, to your point. It's crazy. In the last 3 weeks, last 2 games, he's played 7.8 fantasy points per game. That's like Shador Sanders, Tua, CJ Stroud, Sam Darnold. You look at somebody like Tyrod Taylor, 17.5 points per game in that span.
He's outside the top 25.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, like even if he's bad Lamar, you still expect him to be in the top 15.
Sure,
so like
yeah.
the fact that he's outside the top 25 is just like everything is broken. And after those 2 divisional games, they have the Patriots, which are only giving up 13.7 points per game to quarterbacks over the last 3. Like that's just a horrible matchup. And then the Packers after that at 10.7.
Yeah, I mean he's in the JJ McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers fantasy points level right now. Like that is not where you want to be, and that's not where you expect somebody who's a multiple time MVP. Like I don't think that he got space jammed and lost his talent or anything like that. I don't think he's
just hurt.
He's definitely hurt, and you could tell he's very pensive. He's kind of like thinking a lot. He's not just playing his game. It's sad to see. You want to see the guy do well. I'm fine with them struggling this week, but there's definitely something that's off there.
He'll bounce back for next season. You just got to hope that something just out of nowhere clicks. I did look back at his previous seasons. He's had one instance historically in his career. In 2023, he had a 3-game stretch where he was averaging under 10. Something clicked at the end there, and he averaged over 24 points per game from that point forward. I just don't see that happening because this is injury-based. This isn't like back then he might have faced 3 tough matchups in a row and he just struggled. This is just like the offense just looks terrible.
Yeah. No, and it's funny like seeing now that he's injured how much he's elevated the monkey and like play calling and like how that offense is operated. And it's just like it just goes to show when you have an elite quarterback like that, like how much more that is important than the coaching that you have in front of you, because they're able to do the impossible. He's able to avoid and get out of these situations that normal people can't. And he is playing like a normal person right now. And it's a tough watch for sure.
For the next Tinder, I want you to go first.
Okay. I will have you swipe just because of the way that the graphics are laid out, but I can start doing the talking, which is fine. So
I'm going to swipe left. And I want you to go first because I think it's somewhat surprising I'm swiping left.
I don't know if I'm necessarily surprised just knowing you. I think it's more of a confidence thing. But who we're talking about for Tinder 2 is Christian Watson. He has been a good surprise coming back from that ACL injury he suffered last season. A lot of people were kind of laughing at the fact that the Packers just gave him this extension, 1-year extension out of nowhere, even though he's been a bit of a disappointment relative to where he was drafted in the NFL draft, which seems to be a common thing amongst Green Bay Packers wide receivers that they draft early on. So he's had a nice little run of games here. The question that we have, Drew, is are you taking Watson the box? You said you are not. You're not in on Watson whatsoever. I actually like Watson quite a bit. If we're looking what he's done in the last kind of set of games, for me, it's a lot of different things. So it's the yards per route run, 2.11. He's been getting a lot of yards. He's been leading the team in targets. He's also getting a good mix of short game, sure thing catches, deep ball. He's getting 41% of their air yards, which is huge. He's also getting the majority of their inside the 20 targets. Dobbs and Wicks are the ones that got like the red zone touchdowns as of late, but they're using Watson pretty much all over the field. He's got a 12% first down per route run, which I think is like a pretty sticky stat when you're thinking about wide receivers, and that's very high amongst kind of like the leading receivers. So I really like where he's trending. 6.5 targets a game, that's not going to push him into wide receiver 1 territory. We know historically that Jordan Love is going to spread the ball around. Do I have a little bit of concern of what might happen when Jaden Reed comes back, when Matthew Golden comes back? Maybe, but I'll cross that bridge when we get there. As long as they have the people on the field that they do, I feel confident starting him. I feel like he's an upgraded version of the way that they were utilizing Dobbs earlier on in the season.
Okay. Yeah. So I actually agree with all the numbers. So that's why I was on the fence with this for a while, and I told you I'm going to swipe left. Mainly because of speculation, how I feel. You're right, it's a confidence thing. For me, the reason why I'm swiping left is, one, they're 23rd in the league in passing attempts. So Jaden Reed, I expect, is going to return this week, and Matthew Golden's going to return this week. I think that they're both going to be back, which is going to crowd up that wide receiver room. And the other
they
thing,
just run 5 wide at that point every play.
That's what I mean. He's only running 20 routes a game.
Yeah.
Which is too low for me. I broke down. I went on ESPN and took their rankings for this week, and I took the first 30 players.
Yeah.
He averages the lowest amount of routes run for all 30 of those players. So that was the big thing that stood out for me. And then this is a little speculative, but their last 5 games, I went back of what they did last year. It seems like in December, they get a little more conservative on offense. I feel like they're going to run Josh Jacobs a little more. They're already running heavily to begin with. All 5 of their games, except for 1, are in northern cities where it's going to be really cold in December. The only game that's not, and it's in the Dome, is Week 18, where most of us are done playing fantasy football for the season anyways.
As you should be.
Yeah, and they also have 2 matchups against the Bears, which I think fantasy, people in the industry are underestimating the Bears.
The Bears have been pretty rock solid on defense, actually, which is funny because when the Steelers played the Bears, all we heard all week after they lost that game, well, why didn't you attack their linebackers? They were missing their whole linebacker core. And then the same exact thing happened the next week.
Yeah.
And the same exact thing happens. It keeps happening. Philly struggled just as much as the Steelers did.
Yeah. And that's exactly what my next point is going to be. So, most of the season, they've been playing poorly on defense. But that's because they were without Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon. They're 2 top corners, which they got back last week. And the first half of that game, the Bears defense was dominating the Eagles. The only reason why they put up the points that they did late is because they basically went into a prevent defense, and they were just we don't want you to score too fast kind of thing.
They were like, don't fire your offensive coordinator. We might play you in the playoffs, so here's some points.
Yeah. So, I think that their defense is going to be better now that those 2 guys are going to be back. They're going to have them again this week. They have the Broncos next week, okay? And I can absolutely see a world where Pat Surtain is shadowing Christian Watson next week. So, that was something I felt really bad about. And then they have the Ravens Week 17 championship week. The Ravens offense has been struggling, but their defense is much better in the second half of the season.
Yeah.
So, I don't like the matchups. Also the fact that Jaden Reed has come back and Matthew Golden. I don't know if I can depend on Christian Watson week to week, and I think that he's touchdown dependent. If you take his touchdowns out of the equation, he's not a top 30 scorer. in any of those games. Like,
but most people that don't score touchdowns, unless you are a high target guy, are not going to be a top 30 player. A touchdown pretty much guarantees you top 30.
Exactly. So my point is, I don't think that he's going to score every week. So like,
Sure.
I don't want to go into a playoff matchup or week 14 when you need to win to get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
The guy that needs a score. Like I want a safer floor than that in these matchups. So like, that's the reason why I swiped left. I
think it's a valid argument for sure. No, I don't hate it. I think for me, I'm more bearish on the return of Golden and Reed, so I'm willing to kind of play the game a little bit longer with Watson. But if you think that they're going to come back early,
yeah, I think they're going to play this week, but they might. I think Jada Reed's going to be on a snap count, so like Watson still might have a good game this week. But I'm also thinking that Jalen Johnson's going to shut him down. He's a legit corner.
He's good.
That's just been missing all season, so the Bears' defense has looked worse. So I think that the Bears are going to be tougher. The Broncos are going to be a tough matchup, obviously next week, and then the Ravens. I just think that it's going to be tough sledding, and you have to just hope that he scores a touchdown. And I don't want to be in a matchup that basically ends my season if he doesn't score, kind of thing. That's really where I'm at.
Yeah, I feel you. Cool, man. All right, so let's jump into our OnlyFantasy subscriptions for the week, where each week we select one player and one player only that we think is going to blow our and your collective minds. If you have any last-minute questions in the chat, drop those now as we are entering the witching hour of this show. Before we can talk about who our picks are for this week's edition of the OnlyFantasy predictions, we must first revisit the past. Drew, let's just talk a little bit about how we did last week. So I had Bucky Irving, who was one holding penalty away from being the RB2 last week. It's driving me crazy. He was 17.
It's still really good.
Yeah, he was 17 for 61 and a touchdown, 2 receptions, 20 yards on 2 targets. He was RB15, giving me the little bit of the crazy eye. And then, like you mentioned a little bit earlier, you had Mark Andrews, 4 for 47 on 6 targets. He was tight end 17. Really likely just had that one long play.
Yeah.
More than
I said it last week, though. I was worried that likely would end up being the one that hit. But
yeah,
he was tight end 10, even though he fumbled at the goal line. He could have been – I think he would have been tight end 6 without the fumble, but then plus the touchdown, he could have really smacked. But
yeah.
So the process was obviously right, but just the wrong.
Yeah, that was a crazy play, too. Like, I couldn't believe that happened because the hurdle that he had was super sick. And then I was like, all right, like, finish it. And then I was like, no. Yeah. All right, Drew. Week 14, OnlyFantasy prediction. Who you got?
Isaac Tesla.
Drew doesn't even know anything about Isaac Tesla. He just thinks he looks like Steve from Stranger Things and decided.
I don't watch Stranger Things, actually, so that's a you. That's a you
thinking. How do you not? Where have you been? It's been out for like 20 years now.
I know, but like I don't really get into stuff that isn't like comedy based. Like I don't. It's just never been.
Oh, sad.
Zana watches it, so she'll know what you're talking about.
You're just letting her watch it alone?
Not letting her. She just kind of does it on her own. I don't know.
Oh, man.
I'll probably end up watching it because she's going to want to watch the new season when it comes out. So we'll see. Anyways, we already talked about Amon-Ra St. Brown likely being out this week. They're going to be without Khalif Raymond as well. No one's really talking about that. When both of these guys were out of the game in week 13, Isaac Tesla had a 92% snap participation. So everybody's talking about Tom Kennedy as being the guy that's going to step in for Amon-Ra because he's a slot guy.
Whoa. Oh, I might need Tom Kennedy this week in Fishbowl, so tread lightly.
Hold on. He's going to be playing. It's just that I think Isaac Tesla's a better player. One, he's a third round rookie, so obviously they value him pretty high.
And they traded up substantially to get him.
They traded a future pick plus another pick to go up and get him. You're right.
Yeah.
And this dude, I don't know if you know the story about this dude, but he walked into his meeting with Brad Holmes during the pre-draft process wearing a Detroit Lions jersey that had Tesla on the back because he's actually from Michigan. He's a big Lions fan. So it was
right.
But he's 6'4" with a huge catch radius, great hands and body control. Like he scored TDs on 30% of his targets and 50% of his receptions. We know what he can do in the red zone. And then we already talked about this. They have the Dallas Cowboys this week.
He was like 3 touchdowns on 6 catches this season or something like that?
It's more than that now, I think. I'd have to look again, but definitely a 50% rate. We know that he can score touchdowns. They have the Cowboys that are giving up 39.5 fantasy points to wide receivers over the last 3, and they've just been decimated all year. Plus the fact that we talked about this multiple times the last few weeks, and you brought it up already today, that Quinnen Williams, they're not going to be able to get
a good player.
They're not going to be able to get it done on the ground. So it's going to be an air raid on both sides. It's going to be super fun. This honestly might be the best. Definitely, I think it's going to be definitely the best Thursday night game that's not Thanksgiving that we're going to have this season. And hopefully it really plays out. They could be one of the best that we've had, because there isn't a lot of good Thursday night games that we can really think about.
It's been unbelievable how much better they've been. They used to be like the afterthought, but I feel like Amazon's pumped so much money into it that they've been getting some better games. I mean, let's see. I'm trying to think. Like that San Francisco LA game was a banger. You had the let's see. Like even I don't know. I guess the Houston Buffalo game I thought was great. The Chicago Philly game, that was the Black Friday one. That one was good. So I feel like there's definitely been some good ones in there. Like the Seattle Arizona beginning of the year, that was pretty fun. So yeah, it's been a much improved product. It used to be like, all right, which team from the AFC South can we have play on Thursday, and then like another team that we don't care about right now.
Yeah, it was always like division rivals that were just crappy teams.
Yeah,
but we already mentioned this. But as of this morning when I checked it, the line is 54.5. Like everyone's expecting a ton of fireworks with this matchup, and I think that Isaac Tesla. I think Tom Kenny's going to be good. He's going to be like that PPR merchant. That's what you're hoping for. But I think Isaac Tesla has the chance to like really
break one big. It's going to be – I'm really interested to see how they deploy it, because Jameson Williams, he was all over the place after Amon-Ra went out.
Yeah.
You know that he's going to be the focal point from that. But I'm curious, did they now take like the JMO role where he's kind of like the burner and the deep threat, and they give that to Tesla? Or what does that dynamic look like for that offense? I think Dan Campbell's going to have some options, because if you say, all right, well, we need to take away the top on Tesla, then you're opening the door for a JMO crosser that goes yard. But if you say, all right, well, we're going to try to force Tesla to be that kind of like, he's a very quick dude, like you said, but then you're going to let, do you want JMO going over the top? Like, not really. It's not a good matchup for a lot of people. So the offense is going to look different without Amon-Ra, but I think that offense is going to be more than fun.
The only thing about this that I hate with my pick is that everyone was talking about Tom Kennedy at the beginning of the week, and I was always on Tesla. I was like, oh, psych, I'm going to be one of the first to say it. And then literally today, just everybody started talking about Isaac Tesla.
My buddy Tyler that I do the show with on Friday, he went to Arkansas. He's a big Arkansas fan, so like he was all in on Tesla before like the draft, and was like, you got to get this guy. I was like, man, nah.
When they drafted him in the 3rd round, it really opened my eyes, because the Lions are that team that they're going to reach on the guys that they think are good.
And they've done that pretty much that entire regime. I mean, you look back at even like Jahmyr Gibbs pick and stuff like that. Like they went up and got him, and like, yeah.
And Sam Laporta. It's like they flipped them all around. They took Laporta before Michael Mayer when nobody saw that coming.
Right.
Gibbs, they were going to take him at 6, and then they traded back.
Yeah.
They would have drafted – wait, think about that for a second, and then we'll move on. They were going to take him over Bijan.
Right.
Where they were slotted. So, like, that's crazy. But, I mean,
could have been me. There's no way that I was doing that.
Yeah, but imagine if that happened, if they didn't find a trade suitor. Everybody would have blew up.
Could you imagine the dynasty landscape if that would have happened?
Yeah, I mean, do people take Gibbs first?
They would have, for sure.
It was a unanimous 1-1 heading into it.
I mean, Jamar Chase dropped a couple passes after a year off of football, and people didn't draft him early. So who's to say? All right, so we got a couple of points of information that we need to hit before we can go on to my OnlyFantasy prediction of the week. Ricky Dunks, he gets TV. Stranger Things is awesome. Ricky, you're awesome. Right. And then there is –
maybe I'll watch.
There is AT412 FF Show PR Chad. I think I'm finally getting my home run this week with the ace of my DFS slate for the week in the no longer concussed 9.
So,
Chad, may I remind you that your quarterback of choice has averaged
Field Yates said the same thing on their podcast today.
5.2 points per game in the last 3 weeks.
Their matchups rest away. People are drooling over. But he stinks. I'm sorry, he stinks. Like the only thing that he's offering to the NFL community right now is top tier memes.
The memes from that have been absolutely fantastic.
Top
And it's
tier.
like they're throwing anybody's head onto that thing at this point.
Top tier.
So good. And for that, I'm thankful. But yeah,
Chad, in Chad's defense, if he's right and he puts a Millie Maker on there and he hits on a couple other guys, he's probably winning because no one's playing 9.
And you know that like Justin Jefferson is going to be super cheap. And you have to imagine that he's probably going to be your stack. Because who else are you going to put in there? So I guess, but I mean, no, thank you.
Real quick, because this is the thing I saw today. I want to know if you know how many of the Vikings receivers, who has the most 20-point games this season?
Probably Jordan Addison with like 1.
Jordan Addison, Jalen Naylor, and Justin Jefferson all have 1. That's how bad it's been.
It's been real bad. It's been real bad. I knew that Addison, that first couple of games that he had after the suspension, he came out kind of hot. But yeah, it was probably all Carson Wentz stuff too.
They reek of Jacoby Brissett next year, by the way.
Ooh. See, people are saying that they're going to draft another QB round 1.
I don't know. I guess
I don't see how that's possible.
Yeah, I don't think that they're going to do that. I think they're going to go the vet route. I think it's Jacoby Brissett or Kyler Murray.
What about Mac Jones?
I love the Mac Jones pick. I thought about that earlier today too. Like that is if they trade for Mac Jones, he might be a top 10 quarterback next year. Low key.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that earlier today when I was listening to a podcast. I that would be perfect, honestly. Honestly, it would be perfect.
So we'll see. So, all right. Ricky said maybe Daniel Jones. I don't know. And I don't see Indianapolis moving on from him, but
they would tag him, right?
I would hope not. Did they not learn their lesson from what the Giants did, paying him all that money?
Well, they committed to him when they traded their first rounders.
Yeah.
Years. Like it's over. He ain't going anywhere.
Kirko Bangs, what if he came back?
He's gonna retire and work as a cashier at Kohl's, dude.
Sounds great. All right, well, I'm gonna give you my pick now. Now that we got through that little 9 moment, I'm going deep into the archives. We're gonna go to a game that's happening in my backyard this weekend. I'm going with Gunnar Helm with an A. Gunnar Helm has become the safety valve for the Tennessee Titans offense. He's had 7 targets in the last 2 games, 5 targets the game before that. He's been this kind of underneath valve for Cam Ward, who, despite the lack of weapons, has been doing his best to try to just rally this team to be anything respectable whatsoever. I think that Gunnar Helm, I mean, I have low expectations, but I think that he could be a top 10 play this week. He's got a good matchup, 13.8 points per game from the Browns. They've had a pretty tough sled of the tight ends they've been going up against, so I think that's inflated just by the sheer competition that they've had at the position in the last 3 weeks. But I do think that Gunnar Helm is going to hit the end zone for the first time in a long while, so I think that he's going to have himself a good game. He is getting like a inside the 20 target pretty much every game, and he has a positive coverage grade, so let's see what we can do with it. I don't like a lot of the options this week from the tight end room, so I think he's a deep flyer that could kind of surprise some people.
Yeah, I like the pick. He's sneaky 7 targets the last 2 weeks each game.
Yeah.
Like that's good if you need a tight end.
Yeah, for sure.
You just gotta hope that he gets in the end zone, to your point.
So we'll see. He hasn't done it in a bit. I don't really understand spelling Gunner with an A, but it is what it is. All right, Drew, let's wrap this thing up. Seeing no other questions in the chat, let's let the people know where they can find us online. If you like what you're doing and like what we're doing and like how we're helping you do what you do, you can find us on our personal handles at JOEFRK and at Drew Hannis on the X Machine. You can find stuff for the show at Around the 412. What am I saying? At Around the 412. Jeez Louise. at AT412FF Show on X or on YouTube and Twitch at Around the 412. We do have a pun that I have to acknowledge from Chad. I guess you could say that you are trying to take the helm of this thing. Yeah, absolutely. Get out of the stream. You should be ashamed of yourself. Please apologize, but also I do love a good dad joke. So thank you for that.
Go have some cold soup.
Yeah, go have some cereal, cold soup. It should be a good time. It was Giving Tuesday yesterday, so if you are still looking for a way to potentially help out and donate to a good cause, it would go amiss without me saying, please take a look and consider donating to the Rockin' Around the 412 Year 7. As it stands as of this moment, we have collected $4,300, almost $4,400, helping local families or part of the East Rochester Salvation Army Angel Tree. We're trying to make as much of an impact as we can. The last 6 years, we've raised over $32,000, providing Christmas for almost 100 kids in the process. We've already cleared out over 70 tags. We have the $4,000 raised. Anybody who enters or donates is automatically entered for different various prizes related to Pittsburgh sports. They can be shipped. So make sure you get in there. It's a really great cause started by Zach and Tyler. Crazy to think that it's already in year 7. I definitely need to go make my donation today, and hopefully you will too. Drew, it is week 14. We've got one last hoorah before we get into the playoffs. Any closing thoughts?
I do, man. I'm looking forward to talking playoff ball next week. Hopefully, all of our viewers are getting into the playoffs.
Absolutely, it's gonna be a fun time. Now. Say that again.
It's real stressful now.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a little bit more puckered, but that's why you play. If you are gonna be on a bye week next week, come check out the show. We'll let you know what you need to do to be ready for that week 16 game. If you're gonna be in the playoffs next week, come find us. We're going to make sure that you have all the information that you need to get it going. You know where to find us. Wednesday nights, 8:30 Eastern, the Around the 412 Fantasy Football Show. I'm Joe Frick. That's my boy, Drew Hannis. Until next time, folks, have a wonderful week 14, and we will see you with our playoff beards in tow. Let's make this happen. And let's also remember that we need to hit the video so that it plays so we can start the outro. Bang.